Hey everybody, Brian Wise here again. Just thought I would check in and see how you guys were doing and kind of bring you up to date with where I am and how I'm doing. Oh my gosh, for the past few days here in Colorado Springs, it's actually been storming, which is amazing because, as you probably do know, we don't get a whole lot of rain here and not a lot of water. So I was really enjoying, and when I'm saying it rained, and we had a little bit of hail where I am, but it was like the pea-sized hail because I think we're backed up next to the foothills, so we're shielded, I think, from the golf ball and the bigger baseball-sized hail that I think other parts of Colorado Springs gets. But anyway, what a great time, right? Everything's wet and everything's dewy and everything is super duper green. I had put out a lot of Kentucky bluegrass seeds a while back. I thatched my yard. Well, that was a huge undertaking, but I thatched it. Then I spread all of the grass seed, and then probably 4 to 5 days ago, it was just coming down the rain. It was pouring. And I know you shouldn't do this, but I had to get out the fertilizer. So I actually went out barefooted and just a t-shirt, pair of shorts, of course, and spread fertilizer in my yard. Is popping. Not as popping as I would like for it to be. And of course, it's here. I'm almost at the end of the season. Yeah, but that's okay. It'll come back next year, so I was really pleased with that. So, Rodney and I went to the Manitou Farmers Market on Sunday. As you know, and as I've indicated in a previous video, that is a pretty long market. 2 Sundays ago, they had a bee pollinating event. So there were a lot of bee pollinators there giving lectures and talks and things like that and spreading information about how important bees are and pollination and this, that, and other for our planet. And that was pretty enjoyable. So I really was not anticipating a lot of traffic at the market this past Sunday, but I've got to tell you, you can get there at 12:30 to start setting up, and the market officially opens at 2. And we were there probably 45 minutes to an hour maybe, and we were already getting customers. And I made several sales before the market officially opened at 2. So I was super, super excited about that. So this past Sunday, I actually rolled out some new products. One is my soap bars. So the first batch that I cured or prepared a little over 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, they actually cured. I did the pH test, and pH for bar soap should be somewhere between 8 and 10. And it's really confusing, so I read a lot of articles. It's really important that you do your research if you're going to get into this kind of business. And it's basic chemistry, which I'm horrible at, and we already know about my math skills, right? But what did I say? What's the biggest hurdle? What's my biggest challenge? Patience and proper planning. The 3 P's, and I'm sure there's another P somewhere. Remind me to tell you about my more acronym for health and fitness. It's silly, but I thought it was kind of catchy. But anyway, so I did the pH test on all of the soaps, and they came out to be between 8 and 10 with regard to their value. Then I lathered up at the sink, the kitchen sink, and they lathered up beautifully. And then I actually took the sample bars from each of the batches that I rolled out this past Sunday, and I ran a nice hot tub of water. And I am going to do a video from the tub with plenty of suds, of course, to demonstrate the soaps, because man, they lathered up like crazy and they're beautiful. I mean, so I had this really fancy looking antiquish sort of soap dish on the side of my tub, and I have one of those big, I think they call them garden tubs or whatever. And so I put all of my soap samples in there. And so not only is it aesthetically pleasing, it's also functional, right? But anyway, the soap produced a great lather. My most favorite would be the eucalyptus buttermilk, and I did that in the shape of an actual bar of soap, so it's not a square, it doesn't have all the spikes and the peaks and those kinds of things on top of the soap, but it looks more like a bar of Irish Spring, actually. But it doesn't smell like Irish Spring. Although I do have bergamot, which is reminiscent of Irish Spring, and I did that on purpose because that is just such a fresh, clean scent. And I'm going to Ireland in 2 weeks. So I'm just doing all things Irish. Although I'm not drinking like I used to in the good old days, but I can report that when I get to Ireland, I will be having a Guinness, probably more than one, in more than one location. And I will be going to Waterford to snag some crystal that I most likely will have shipped back because I don't want to have to keep up with it. And Waterford crystal is fairly expensive. And it's coming straight from the source. So I'm really excited about that. Man, I do live a blessed life in so many different ways. So my bar soap is out, and it's $5 a bar. And I started thinking maybe that was a little bit too much for bar soap. I mean, you can buy probably 5 bars for $5 in the grocery store, which also are buying a ton of chemicals. If you ever get the opportunity, read the chemicals or the ingredient list on a bar of soap. You can't pronounce over 90% of it, I am certain. And it's just soap. And the thing about just soap, it has such a long shelf life. So why are we buying these bars of soaps with all these preservatives and chemicals and da-da-da? Do you know that sugar water added to your soap increases lather content? So I'm using that. I did the eucalyptus buttermilk, and I used it in the bath. Oh my God! I used some light bluish green mica colorant in the soap because I didn't want just a plain a bar of white soap or off white because I used olive oil, so it would be more of a greenish tint actually. I did put a bit of titanium dioxide in it to lighten it. There's something to be said about these preservatives and these additives and this, that, and the other. They do serve a purpose if used appropriately. But anyway, I digress. So I'm in there, I'm lathering up with my eucalyptus buttermilk, and I noticed I had a blue, not a film, but like a blue lather. Very creamy. Oh my God, it was so moisturizing and rich. But I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm probably going to turn people blue and turn their bathtubs blue, and is my insurance policy up to date? I'm being silly. But of course, it washes right off, and I don't mind telling you, I got out of the tub and I dried off. I wasn't dry. You know how sometimes you can use a really harsh bar of soap and it just leaves your skin tight feeling, and I guess it has a really high cleansing effect, and there's all the different chemicals, minerals and things like that that's in your soap, and I'm going to do a video talking about those because that's a lot of science and chemistry, not that anybody I don't think would really be interested, but I do have that written up on an information sheet available, if you request that, and it speaks to not only that, but it also speaks to how creamy the soap would be on a scale, and I think I mentioned some of that in my last video, but the eucalyptus buttermilk, not only does it smell amazing, but it's super creamy and rich and bubbly, and I love it. So there, and then I also rolled out my hand and body wash, and I don't know if you can tell, but it really turned out really good. It's clear. There's my ingredient list again. Not a lot in here. If you read the ingredient list, it just talks, of course, about the ingredients. And this one, for example, is distilled water. And then it's got safflower, castor, coconut. And I do have fragrance oil in this, although you are using it on your skin. But fragrance oil is perfectly safe to use on your skin. I did make some with essential oils for those individuals who would prefer an essential oil. And I also made a batch of totally unscented. It's basically just sodium hydroxide, a little potassium hydroxide, of course. You put in just a dab of the sodium hydroxide to give it a little thickening effect. But basically liquid soap calls just for potassium hydroxide. But anyway, that's all the ingredients. So you have the oils, and then I do put a preservative in my liquid soaps. Um, I just think there's a place for it. Now, after the liquid soap is cooked, so to speak, so I took every bottle and and these are also shrink wrapped, so they're airtight. Now have a longer shelf life. But I did, so I took a spritzer of, I think it was 90% isopropyl alcohol and squirt, squirt, squirt. I did like 48 bottles and rolled it around, sloshed it up, and I also alcoholed the lids and this, that, and the other. And then before I poured, I alcoholed my hands and I alcoholed the funnel and I alcoholed again from a distance just to blinks over the top, the outside, so as not to introduce any more things into the soap that shouldn't be in your soap. So they're pretty good. In terms of, I'm not going to say they're 100% sterile, but I did take a lot of, went through some great pains and through some great lengths of time to get to this. So this is Mango and it's the Color Puppy, and this is the Color Puppy logo that I'm using for soap. And this is, and so mango green, so green. I did tropical coconut, of course. I'm just so hung up on coconut, cacao powders, those kinds of things. And that label is in brown. And then I did, so that was the mango. I did tropical. I also did some vanilla and lavender, just your usual scents. And I think they turned out beautifully, and I'm really proud of them. I didn't sell any liquid soaps, and that's okay because I didn't push it, number one. I really talked up the bar soap, and of course, my candles sell themselves. I did really, really well at market this past Sunday, and again, I'm not trying to pay the mortgage. I'm just trying to make enough to recoup what it cost me to make this, and then enough that I can make another bottle, if you will. So these are priced, I think, very appropriately. If you go and look at liquid soaps from other soapers or retail, you're going to pay upwards of $10, $12, $15. I actually bought a coconut body mist spray from a girl in Manitou. I won't call the name of the market, but it was $33, and it was really no bigger than this. I don't regret buying it. I've enjoyed using it. But I do think that's really super duper expensive. This is $8, $8, and it's hand and body wash. And I have other scents coming, so be on the lookout for that. And like I said, my soap, this is the bergamot that I have, and here is a rose scented soap that I have, $5. It was interesting because this lady comes up to my booth at market. She's got a bunch of kids with her, and they're messy and sticky. They've been eating candy or something like that. And she's like, what do you have that is scent-free, chemical-free, just pure soap? And of course, you're in Manitou Springs, right? And at a farmer's market, so common sense tells you that you should have some fragrance-free, scent-free, color-free soap. You just want oil and sodium hydroxide. And so I made 100% Castile. Remember, Castile soap is soaps that's got a plant-based oils. And as we all know, olive oil comes from what? An olive. What's an olive? An olive is a plant. But it was 100% olive oil, and you have to have the sodium hydroxide in order for it to have a chemical reaction to make bar soap, liquids, hard soap. Otherwise, you would just have a bunch of oil, I suppose. But anyway, boom. So she bought this $5 bottle of 100% olive oil Castile soap. And I saw her later on and she commented about the soap, and it was a really good thing. So I was pleased about that. Market was really great. I had such an amazing time. I met a couple from South Louisiana. He is from New Orleans, and his wife is from Lafayette. And of course, if you know anything about South Louisiana, Lafayette, Lake Charles, not so much Lake Charles when you think about the South Louisiana, but Lafayette definitely. It was just like going home. So we had a huge conversation. He's actually an artist and a chef, J. Pierre. And so he gave me a flyer. He's hosting like an art dinner event there in Manitou Springs, and asked if I would, he was inviting us to go, and where to buy tickets, this, that, and the other. And of course, I can't go. I have a previous engagement, but I did post it to my Instagram site, Facebook, of course. And I'm pitching it here on YouTube. So if you're in the area and you have a taste of New Orleans flair, which I did, I'm sorry I can't go. He's like a chef in New Orleans. Um, but yeah, participate in that. It's a lot of fun. I met another girl, Jessie, who works in Manitou Springs and who was just a true delight. Um, just really, really liked her. In fact, she gave me a good review on my website, and I responded and told her I was looking forward to seeing her next Sunday. And there were a couple of other girls that came through and bought soap, and they were going to leave me reviews, but at the time I didn't have my soaps up, and so she couldn't leave a review anywhere. But they are up and running now. I'm telling you, it's a lot to run a business, to create a business. And if you spend all of your time working in the business, then you can't really do a lot in terms of promoting your business. I am happy to say that I've got a friend who is marketing my products at a local um, super duper area of interest close by to where I live. I'm not going to call a name now because I don't want to jinx anything, and if it doesn't work out, right? But trying to get my products into that particular venue. So I'm hopeful about that. So what I would do is actually sell products to this vendor wholesale, and then of course they would sell it retail. So I'm looking forward to that. Gosh, what else can I say? Market was successful. I'm going back to the first farmers market that I did on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to that. Of course, it's 10 to 2 at the Margarita at Pine Creek. And then, of course, on Sunday, we'll be back in Manitou for that market down at Soda Park. Um, Golly, what a great time I had. Yes, it was long, and you're working, but you're just meeting a lot of incredible people. And uh, sales wise, I did really, really good. And so I'm glad about that. I actually have to go to the bank and make a deposit, which is kind of a foreign thing for me with regard to this business. Um, I'm not making any more soap right now, and I'm not making any more candles right now. I have a huge inventory, so I'm just kind of holding off, although I'm just chomping at the bit to make more soap because I just enjoy it so much. But I have a lot of inventory, and I have a couple of markets that I've applied for. My application is under review. And I've also gone ahead and looked at some research, and I put some things on my calendar because I'm going to do the Garden Gods Farmers Market next year in May of 2025. Um, and just kind of see how things go along. I'm feeling really motivated and really excited. Um, I had big news coming. I'm not going to say anything right now because I actually just got the approval. And so everything's in the beginning phase, and we're kind of working towards something. But I'm really excited about having another opportunity, um, which is going to so help my business. And I am thinking that we're going to get into tees and hats. I ordered some cute, cute hats, and they have the Color Puppy logo, and then Color Puppy candles and soaps, and then the picture of the two puppies. Like I said, the logo that I'm using for the soap, and then the logo that's going to always be with my candle. So I'm excited about that. And so the hats, because believe it or not, I had a few people asking me this past Sunday, am I selling hats and t-shirts? They wanted to buy one. And I'm like, no. So I'm thinking, but I will. So I'm going to get into that. And I will go ahead and share with you another bit of news. I am 80% leaning toward a brick and mortar building. I found a location. I'm looking at it, and I've also been talking to the real estate agent with regard to the leasing agreement, the terms of the lease. What all does that cover? Those kinds of things. The only thing I'm not really keen about is you pay all of this money to lease the property, and it's typically for 12 months or a couple of years, right? And then you're expected to go in and do your build outs on your own. And I'm not going to lease property, put in shelves and countertops and those kinds of things, just have to walk away from it. I'm just not going to do that. If that's the case, I'll buy some property, and then it's mine. I can do what I want to with it. But I'm really excited about that. The other thing that I'm really leaning toward getting into is a um, the bread pastry part of the farmers market because I do love to cook. And I think I told you in my last video, I did 4 loaves of bread and they turned out really cool. Um, there's some things I would do differently on my next go around, but to do that at a farmer's market, you need a food cottage certificate, or cottage food certificate, which easy breezy, I can do that. I've actually taken the course to be that servers and chefs and people like that have to take who actually work in restaurants and brick and mortar places. So I have that certification as well. But I want to open up an apothecary store of sorts and have soaps and candles and those kinds of things. And then I want to do bread and pastries and pretty breads and pastries. I'm not looking to make somebody an egg sandwich, cinnamon rolls, bagels, flatbread, stuff like that. I'm just with all these ideas. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling at this point. Tune back in a week or so because I do have big news coming with regard to a product that I'm trying to have placed locally, and also some other news that I just got this morning that I am super excited for. And that's all I'm going to say. Anyway, golly, if we've met, thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you. If our paths have crossed at the market, gosh, I hope they cross again, and I hope to see you again. I've met a lot of amazing people, and I have such a good time. But until then, you know what I say, if you're not sure what to do, well, then just soap it up and just see what comes of it. Ciao. Till next we meet, stay safe.